Alright, once you have everything set up, get your charcoal sticks, just have fun with them. Smudge them around like I'm doing here in the video. Just smudge around, break them off, try out the lines. Here I was just trying to show off the different lengths and widths that the different sticks had, but later you can see that it didn't really matter. But charcoal's mostly about stroke work overall. And you have to have a good grasp of shadows beforehand, before you go into charcoal. So, even though this video is actually for beginners, I wouldn't really call you guys beginners. Most likely you've already had some experience using graphite, which is pencil, and having some knowledge on shadows and how they work. I do not recommend anyone go into charcoal without any knowledge of that beforehand, because this is just values, and even though it's kind of like graphite, it's the actual textures of the charcoal and the different things you can make with them is still a little bit different from graphite, because the texture is much different, the paper is also different, and the type of charcoal, I guess, could matter. I wouldn't know that because I did not care about the type of charcoal I used. I just used willow, that's it. Yeah, in a nutshell, you just... How do you put this slightly? Yeah, go crazy. In other words, fuck around and find out. That's basically the progression of how charcoal works. And in this video, I'm not gonna actually provide a time-lapse of me drawing, using charcoal to draw in like a more complex piece, but I will have it linked in the description if anyone ever wants to look at it. I think at this point I gave up. I just did a lot of strokes. Yeah. Just having fun with it, really. That's the best way you can get a grasp on any technique, medium, at all. Just take a piece of paper, take your medium, and just go ham. And then you'll find out, oh, the texture is like that, you feel it feels like that, strokes, oh, that's how the strokes work. Yeah, that's it. Right, time for watercolor. As the color music fades away, this requires the same paper that used for charcoal, and here you can see me taking out some yellow paint and just testing out different techniques with it again. This one is called wet on wet, and basically you add some water to your brush, dip it in the paint it over the paper, and add a different color onto it using the same like wet brush. Later when it dries, you can see the boom effect. This one I think was dry on wet, so I had to wait for the wet paint to dry first, but I think this one failed. So what am I doing here? You can tell this is done in just one take, all of this. Here's just some dry brush experimentation, but it didn't go that well because the colors weren't that vibrant. Bro, hurry up. Hurry up. Man, I want to get an 8 in this school project. Okay. Yeah, I'm just putting on more dry paint. Trying to get more stuff. Here, I think I'm just testing out blending. Yeah, the gradients. Testing out a bit of just trying to get a grasp on how the gradients work by adding some water and spreading it out. But you see here that it doesn't really work initially because the excess water ends up just pushing the paint all the way to the edge. You'll see that will happen, and it's also a method to get rid of some color if you add it too much to one spot. The next one is a more successful variant, where you can see the colors actually successfully blend out. This one's done on dry surface, and most of the blending is just stroke by stroke. I think I know what I try a salt technique. Yeah, probably. Salt technique. You just take some wet watercolor, put it on the spot, get some salt, sprinkle it on, and then later clip just showing how it works, because it'll take some time for it to dry. Basically, again, same as charcoal. Go ham. Do anything to it. When I was taught watercolor, they told me get a fork and scratch it. You can do basically anything with it. Oh, and this is a slightly more better example of dry, more like moist. But the slight bit of water gives it a sort of slightly drier texture. Actually, no, the water is near dry, so the tips are more smooth. If you can see here, oh yeah, that's the salt spread out. You can see the dots. That's where the salt landed on. I realized halfway through editing this that I forgot to do the dry over wet thing. Okay. Okay, here's another practice that I think most people should do to figure out their color palette. Here you can see me just taking some paints from my own palette, which, any recommendations I got? Nah. Anything. Besides your school ones. Anything but the school ones. The ones outside in the stores, yeah, you can go ham with that. That's fine. I'm just drawing a circle right here and dividing into several shapes. I think that's like 6 on each side. Yeah, nah. Well, I'm changing it to 6 now. This one's a bit weird, different from the original one that I did a long time ago, but basically the test here is to find out the most saturated colors of your palette. Like just use a lot of that one color and then put it on the paper to see what color it is. Add some water to it and then mix it with the color that's on the opposite of the color wheel to see how it looks like with a more dull shade. Yeah, no commentary for this one, just making a circle. That's it. I should cut this out, frankly, but yeah. Speed up, please. Yeah, I'm adding the colors. After I finish adding the colors, what do? Well, that's it. Turns out. Okay, I didn't have the other clip. Yep, that's it. Thank you. Keep watching. That's just the whole time lapse. You don't have to watch all of it. If you get the concept, that is. And here's just some tips for beginners that I found was really helpful for me when I first started drawing this. My method, at first, get some watercolor paper, masking tape it all down because the paper will bend, and then I find an image, a reference photo anywhere, like Pinterest or whatever. I print it out, and you do your best to copy it. Most people, actually artists, they say, don't trace, don't copy. Yeah, don't. Just don't post it. It's a really good practice, though, in general. So that's how I learned it. I copied from other artists, and then with the instruction of a teacher who just told me the basic techniques. She didn't teach me anything else, by the way. Just the basic techniques that I taught you. And from that, I was able to create a bunch of pieces of watercolor. She would occasionally come over and just check whether it was accurate to the photo or not. But that also kind of comes with just practice in general. That, I think, best advice, use lines. Measure things with your fingers. That usually gets the proportions right. And with that, you can draw accurate proportions, accurate distances, whatever. Anything that uses line, that's basically all of art, actually. So, after you have that done, then I think just get yourself a set of watercolor. Try it out. Charcoal. Anything. Yeah, go ahead. But don't skip the graphite. Please, don't skip pencil. Sketch first. And then you can do anything. Yes. And then I iterate. I have put the link to the time lapses of me drawing in both charcoal and watercolor using a reference down in the description below. You should go subscribe, I guess. Don't have to subscribe. I just wanted comments because this is for a school project and I desperately need feedback. Thank you. There's also a Google form if you are interested. Thank you. Peace out.